What's up YouTube, Gemini Johnny back again with another compilation of some of the wildest TikTok conspiracy theories I can find. Don't forget my new posting schedule: Monday's members only video, Wednesdays creepy TikToks, Fridays TikTok conspiracy theories, and Sundays live streams. Catch any of the premieres at 4:15 and come hang out and say hi in the chat. Alright, without further ado, let's jump right in.
I've gotten asked like 3 times this week if I think that Paul Walker actually faked his death and he's still alive out there. Now, up until this week, I had never heard this theory, and I was like, I don't know. So then I looked into it, and here's what I found out. Now, we all know that Paul Walker was like a big car guy, like a big car enthusiast. That's probably how he got involved with the Fast and the Furious franchise to begin with. But that love of cars was actually his real life personality. He loved really cool cars. So some people thought it was a little bit coincidental or ironic or strange that he actually died in a cool car. But one of the things that's a little bit weird about this is he was with his friend Roger, and Roger was a professional driver, racer type of person. So Roger would have been super experienced when it comes to driving really fast cars, and it seems a little bit strange and unlikely that, he would end up dying when he had all this experience driving these really crazy cars. With that being said, though, I feel we've heard of instances of, even NASCAR drivers dying in crashes and stuff like that. So that part in and of itself isn't all that strange. But here's where things do get a little bit weird. This is the car that, both of these guys actually ended up passing away in. Let's take note of the license plate. It's 7CCY590. But the license plate that was at the crash site is 3URS93. So why are the license plates different? Did they get swapped out at some point? Because everybody saw him leave with the car with the original license plate, and then all of a sudden this one was at the site. So did the cars get switched? What's going on? This part's a little bit strange. And the other thing that's kind of weird is the story I found out actually leaked before he actually died. So he wasn't even dead yet, and there were all these news outlets already posting about how Paul Walker died in a car accident. So it's almost as if these news outlets already had this information and accidentally released it a little bit early. I had never heard that part before, but that part really got me because that's happened with other celebrity death kind of situations too, where the news accidentally leaks before it actually happens. And so it's what's going on here? So now I'm starting to understand why people are speculating about this, because it seems there's just a lot of things that don't add up that are just a little bit too strange. Any of these things by themselves, other than the news leaking too early, would have been okay, I mean, it could happen, but I feel everything put together, it does make for kind of a suspicious situation. But here's the part I really don't understand. A lot of the other celebrity deaths that people speculate might have been faked, there's a very good reason why they might do such a thing. With Paul Walker, I'm having a really hard time finding a motive of what would make him, want or need to fake his own death. He was a pretty big celebrity, but I don't feel he was at mega star status to where he couldn't even live or do anything. I don't know. And I also don't think he was in any trouble that I know of. So if you know of a reason why Paul Walker might have wanted to fake his own death, put it in the comments. Or is there a chance that maybe the death wasn't faked, but maybe it was planned? If so, why?
I'm not sure why the audio is super messed up like that, but trying to find... Just wanted to double check. She said it was 7CC590. We're just doing a quick Google image search on that photo. Yeah, I think that's correct. Yeah, the license plate thing is weird. I wonder why they left that other license plate there. Maybe the real license plate wasn't left and somebody else left that one as a homage to the license plate or something. Yeah, I don't know. It is a weird one. Yeah, lots of people, I've heard the theory many times that he was supposed to expose something. Maybe he was. Maybe they got him.
Sorry, I'm in a conspiracy theory mood, but isn't it kind of funny how all of a sudden Red Lobster, Applebee's, Chili's is closing? And you know what was funny? A lot of videos on TikTok were circulating about how it's actually cheaper to go eat at Applebee's, Chili's, and Red Lobster than it is to eat at fucking McDonald's. And McDonald's was complaining about how much money they were losing this quarter profit or whatever. Isn't it kind of funny that all of a sudden these places that are booming again, people are actually going to the stores and spending their money to eat at a restaurant because it's cheaper than fucking going to McDonald's and buying 4 fucking Happy Meals for their kids? What? This is... Sorry, this is so lame. But losing Chili's is an attack on the middle class family.
I mean, I think she probably has a point about losing those middle tier restaurants. They usually have a lot of really good options, and especially nowadays with dollar menu is like non-existent at McDonald's anymore. Yeah, fast food has gotten crazy expensive. It's not even worth it anymore. I haven't heard about this place is closing, so I don't know about all that. But, you know, it's possible. I could definitely see McDonald's doing some big-time conspiracy stuff.
I have a theory for the universe, and I need you to listen up. So let's say this is the beginning of our life, and this is the end of our life. When you're thinking about reincarnation, it's as if you go through your entire life, and then at some part, you just start over, and then you continue on to the next life, right? But we think in linear terms as humans. What if it's not actually linear? What if this life is happening from start to finish, and then your other life is happening from start to finish, and your other life is happening from start to finish, and they're all happening at the same damn time? And the core of all of those experiences make up the entirety of who you are, not only on a human level, but your fucking soul. But what if your soul is just a circle that has existed? Possibly a galaxy that has just existed. And all of these lives happening up at the same time make you who you are. So instead of going from this life and then back out here to this life and back out here, what if it all just is? And this is the isness of life.
I like that.
I think I figured it out. One thing that I've also thought about, the fact that like we have the Apple Cloud and it has every single person's videos, their photos, all of their experiences on their phone, right? Even if you do not go into the Apple Cloud and push play on a video, the entire 10 seconds of that video exists. That moment in time fucking exist. So you get to choose what video to watch. Even if you think about Spotify, every song is playing at the same time on Spotify, but it's not until you push play that a song starts playing for you. But if you don't push play, that song still exists. That song still makes sound. Every single second and point in that sound exists and is playing in that moment. It's fucking insane. I feel like I've cracked some type of code. This book actually started all of my questions for this shit. I swear to God, the Project 369. It goes over a lot of sacred geometry and like shit that like really wakes you up. There's more than we know. You know, I feel insane explaining these concepts sometimes, especially to like just my normal friends. So it's crazy to be here on the internet explaining this shit.
Project 369, Manifestation Journal. The key to the universe, the key to prosperity. Manifestation Planner, the key to... Oh, they got all kinds. I want the key to the universe. Of course, they're all 2222. Okay, I need this book. Shout out to Burgess Books, Michaela Burgess on TikTok. She's funny. And I like her theory. And the isness. I like that. That's good. But I mean, that's like... They're always talking about there is no future, there is no past, there's only now. You know? She just explained it better.
Can someone please explain to me why they gotta be going around changing history? Because I can't take it anymore. This new Mandela effect's got me all upset. I don't know what to say. I don't know if it happened when they fired up that Super Hadron Collider again during the eclipse. I don't know when it happened, but here's what's going on. Remember when Betsy Ross created the American flag that we know today? Well, no, you don't, because apparently in the reality that we're currently living in, Betsy Ross didn't even invent the American flag. Or I shouldn't say invent, but like, you know, design, create. So she had actually like zero part of anything to do with the American flag. You want to know who actually is responsible for the American flag? Francis Hopkinson. Oh, you don't know who Francis Hopkinson is? Well, neither did I. Apparently in this current reality, this current dimension that we've all jumped into, he was a founding father, but yeah, I don't remember him. I don't remember his name on the Declaration of Independence. I don't remember even ever hearing about him once a day in my life. But apparently he did all kinds of things. So he exists here, and Betsy Ross, sorry, you are no longer that important, I guess. I don't know. What did you do if you didn't do that? Why do I even know your name? But anyway, if you remember Betsy Ross being the creator of the American flag, then you probably jumped out of the same parallel reality that I did.
Apparently, Betsy Ross may have been the one who sewed it, while Francis Hopkinson was said to be the one who designed it. I think that's where the confusion may come in. But that is interesting. I've never heard of Francis Hopkinson. He wasn't in the smash musical hit Hamilton.
Sure you guys know by now, but in 2013, the FBI quietly put on their website that the Roswell, New Mexico UFO crash incident actually did happen. And the documents go over this right here. This is what started my whole special interest in government documents, because I found this when I was 15 and nobody knew about it. But it clearly states they found saucers, so multiple of them, 50 feet in diameter, each one occupied by 3 bodies similar to the human shape, but no bigger than 3 feet tall. So that's not a human. And they were dressed in metallic, cloth, similar to blackout suits, which is what test pilots use when we're testing out new planes, like the SR-71. You see them, in the pictures, they're in those blackout suits. Now, there's not a ton of info here, but that's something. So what I want to do is go over all of the insane jumps in technological advancements we've had since we figured this stuff out. Now, I'm sure we reverse engineered some of it, but there's a big conspiracy that we got a ton of our technology from aliens. Bob Lazar speaks about this a lot, and that guy has said so many things that have come true like years later. So obviously the first two, within 7 years of that happening, we entered space. We made the laser. Supercomputers within about 20 years. The MRI machine. Fiber optic cables, which is how we all have the internet. UAVs, unmanned aerial vehicles, they fly themselves. Satellites, within 20 years. The pacemaker. And this one, birth control, I don't think you guys realize how big of an advancement this was. The human's body's sole purpose is to reproduce, and finding something that can turn that off was huge. I mean, that was absolutely huge. That's the one reason humans are here. They figured out how to turn off with a pill. Like, you guys don't understand. That was such a big find back then. Also supercomputers and microwave radiation. So obviously we've had huge jumps in technological advancement, but seeing how many of them came directly after this, it's kind of funny. Like, we were struggling so hard with technology, and things were moving at a steady pace. We find aliens and they just skyrocket. Now, we could have probably reverse engineered it. That's very probable. But the fact that so much of this information came out, within 10 years, and the fact that Mr. Lazar, who is confirmed to have worked at Area 51, says that they had living beings that were giving us information in exchange for things, which I'm not allowed to talk about on here.
Mm-hmm.
This is crazy. This is what started my whole journey.
Real.
I wanted to share it because, I'm doing good on here, and this is what got me into all of these. Please give me some conspiracies to go over. I have a couple I'm working on, but I like to plan ahead. I love you all. Thank you for listening to me yap all the time.
Real. I like that guy. He is My Escaline on TikTok. MYE. Yeah, he is My Escaline on TikTok. So, go check his stuff out. Yeah, I think we've talked about the Bob Lazar story on here. Yeah, his story's crazy. He, named that element 51 or whatever it was. Or am I crossing it with Area 51? The element, the unnamed element. And then we found it 10 years later. We, scientists, found it. But yeah, I believe Bob Lazar. He's told the same story for 30 years. 30 longer. It came out in the 80s, I think. Wild.
The CIA's very first mission ever in its history was? On December 14th, 1947, the National Security Council issued its first top-secret orders to the CIA. The CIA set out to beat the Reds in the Italian word TikTok doesn't allow, set for April 1948. And yes, let's just all admire the irony of how in a democracy in America, we can't use that word in our media or else we'll get censored. That's great. But back then, the CIA didn't really have an official budget and they didn't have a bunch of money. They just had a bunch of friends. So James Forrestal and his good friend Alan Dulles solicited their friends and colleagues from Wall Street and Washington, business people, bankers, and politicians. But it was never enough. So the CIA's first mission ever was to overthrow a government and fix a word I can't say. And to do it, they used money that came from all of their business people, friends, bankers, etc. But they needed more money too. So he convinced Snyder to tap into the Exchange Stabilization Fund set up in the Depression to shore up the value of the dollar. Because who needs to do that anyways? The fund held $200 million that was earmarked for the reconstruction of Europe. And they funneled it into the bank accounts of a bunch of wealthy American citizens, a lot of them Italian Americans. One can only imagine what other organizations all these Italian Americans might have been a part of. They even told the donors to place a special code on their income tax forms alongside their charitable donation, so their CIA donations to help control a government over there was tax deductible. Quote, passing black bags to effect a political injection is not really a terribly attractive thing. No shit, but it worked. Italy's Christian Democrats won by a comfortable margin and formed a government that excluded communists. Good job, CIA. But don't worry, they just did it that one time. They would never do that in modern times. Except for when they did it in Japan and Guatemala and Iran and Indonesia and Vietnam and Laos and Nicaragua and Panama and Chile. I mean, I guess they've done it a few times, but they don't do it anymore. Like, certainly they wouldn't do it in any of these modern governments. But anyways, this book, it's a really good book. This has been my bedtime reading lately. It's called Legacy of Ashes. And Tim worked for the New York Times for a long time, so he's reporting like a mainstream take. But the reason why this is valuable, despite being a mainstream take, like for example, he doesn't acknowledge who actually did the thing to JFK. And he doesn't acknowledge a lot of other things that aren't like publicly disclosed. But what's so great about the book is he has personally dug through probably the most extensive compilation of primary sources of almost anyone about the CIA. This is the text of the book that's like 500 or 600 pages. And then it has 170 pages of primary sources. Okay, technically it's only this many pages because the back is an index, but all of this is him citing his sources. That's insane. And even though he misses all of the things that are horrible about the CIA that were never publicly disclosed, that we only know about because of like leaks or theories, it's still a really valuable book to like read between the lines. Transcripts from the president's office when they're ordering these like operations that weren't supposed to happen. He digs through all of the different congressional hearings. It just like gets you really inside information on what actually happened. And what actually happened is the CIA was basically set up to overthrow governments. And that's basically what they've been doing ever since. And when I started this channel, I didn't plan to talk about the CIA at all because like, why would you? I thought we were going to be talking about money and the stock market all the time. But like, if you want to understand how money and the stock market or government or world events works, you kind of need to know about the people that are professionals at controlling the world. So that's all for today. I know I've been off of here for a while. Having internet problems, doing a bunch of remodeling and figuring out my new platforms and new tech. Things are going great. I'm happy. I'm healthy. Don't intend to have any accidents related to water or anything like that anytime soon. And this coming month, I'm going to be on the short form platforms a lot more because I know I've been missing you guys too. Drink your water. I'll see you soon.
I love his videos, man. That dude's great. Cancel This Clothing Co. on TikTok. Yeah, the CIA's first mission was sketchy. So was their second and their third and whatever mission they're on now. They're all pretty sketchy. There is also a really good book called Chaos that, to be honest, I've only gotten through the first couple chapters because it is a dense book. And I've got it on audiobook and I've only gotten through the first couple chapters. Man, so far it's been real good. It's called Chaos, Charles Manson, the CIA, and the Secret History of the 60s. So I'm going to finish that up and I'll report back on it. Maybe I'll do a book report. Oh, that'd be cool. I should start doing book reports. It'll force me to read. I can start finishing some damn books around here. Would that be something you guys would want to see? Me like read one of those dense ass books and then do a video on it, covering it? I feel like that'd be cool. Especially if you have any book recommendations on what you'd like me to read and then cover a video on, let me know. But I might start with Chaos because I'm already in on it.
They have been desensitizing us since we were born. And I'll give you some examples. Let's start with the big one. Let's start with words we hear all the time and never even think about. Let's start with the word entertainment. To entertain. What does that mean? To bind or hold. To bind or hold what? An audience's attention. Okay, now let's take the word Hollywood. Where does that come from? Well, Hollywood comes from the holly tree. And the ancient druids, back in the day, used to take the holly tree, make wands to weave spells, cast spells, or channel spells. And when they needed help, they would consult the magi's or the mediums of the day to help channel their spells to the population. We'll cut to today. What do we have in our houses? We have these black boxes. What are they called? TVs. But if you stop and you say the word television, and when you turn on that television, what do you get? What's the first thing that pops up? A list of channels. And when you turn on those channels, what's on those channels? Programming. They are programming you. They've been programming your whole life. You don't even know it. They do it with your music. They do it with your TV. They do it with your movies. They do it with your games. They have been programming us and programming you since you were little, and you don't even know it because you don't even question it.
Make some points. Yeah, I mean, I've said for a long time, like, I think we learn more from media and TV and movies than we do in school. How many of you out there can recite lyrics to your favorite album or quote your favorite movie word for word, but you can't remember anything you learned in science class in high school? You know what I mean? I know I can't. Like, I feel like I've learned way more as an adult than I ever did as a kid. Another thing I've always said is the phrase, you are what you eat, should be you are what you consume. Because, yeah, of course, if you eat nothing but cake and candy all the time, your body's not going to thank you for it. And if you fill your mind with the equivalent of cake and candy all the time, your mind's not going to thank you for it. You're watching, I don't know, poor quality things and consuming nothing that's making you better or smarter or provoking thoughts or something like that. Then I was just talking the other day about how The Masked Singer is like the dumbest show. Oh, it's a celebrity in a mask and they're singing. Like, nobody's, I mean, I guess it's kind of cool to see a celebrity sing, but aside from that, the people guessing, I don't know. I shouldn't talk crap about The Masked Singer. I've never actually watched the show. It just sounds like a really dumb concept to me. Like Deal or No Deal is another good example, because there was no skill involved in Deal or No Deal. Just like, pick a number. If you can count to 30, you can play Deal or No Deal. You don't even have to count, actually. You just, if you can say what the numbers are from 1 to 30 with a visual cue, you can play Deal or No Deal. No skill involved. Like, there's a lot of these shows, a lot of reality television, like the Kardashians. Watching the Kardashians adds no value to your life, and they're just the popular example. But there's hundreds of those stupid shows. So watch me and my programming. No, I'm playing. I'm not trying to program y'all. I like to have fun.
There's a lot of shit on P. Diddy being connected to a lot of people's deaths. So recently, there's been an investigation going on and the theories that P. Diddy has connections to Michael Jackson's death. No way. And it's known that he hates the industry. There was a video of him at an award ceremony. They tried to fuck up his career because Michael Jackson basically owned over 50% of Sony Records.
These guys work really hard at their craft. The companies take advantage of them. They never thought that this performer, myself, would outthink them. I own half of Sony's publishing, and I'm leaving them. They're very angry at me because of it, but
how is this connected to P. Diddy, right? P. Diddy, he had a head of security, was a guy that any employees that P. Diddy has, if you ever get pulled over in California or in Miami, to call this guy, Fahim, and he'll take care of it. He'll make any problem, any police trouble disappear. So he has power in the police. Michael Jackson died in 2009. That guy, Fahim, in 2008, he graduated from college. He graduated with a bachelor's degree in real estate and business and had no experience in security or anything like that. So how is a guy who just graduated college the head of security already for Michael Jackson, the biggest music artist of all time? Because he was there at Michael Jackson's testimony and he was the second person on the scene whenever Michael Jackson died.
Yeah, I feel like when you do a life like Diddy did, I didn't even mean to do that, but when you live a life like that and you try to be a gangster and run the streets, eventually it's gonna catch up to you, man. Hey, justice for Tupac and Biggie, actually.
What was removed from Epstein's mansion the day after he took his own life? This is a question to which we still do not have an answer. So this is Richard Kahn, a longtime associate of Jeffrey Epstein's. He was his accountant and the executor of Epstein's estate. Not much is known about Richard Kahn, but there are some disturbing things that have come out about him in the last few days. I'm going to cover those details in another TikTok. But I want to talk about what happened at Epstein's $77 million Manhattan mansion the day after he took his own life. So the day after Jeffrey Epstein takes his own life in prison, Richard Kahn shows up to his house. He's obviously wearing a disguise trying to hide who he is. And journalists who were sitting outside of the home just happened to capture this on camera. Richard walked into Jeffrey Epstein's home with someone who appeared to be a friend of Jeffrey Epstein's. They rushed into the house. They were in there for about 45 minutes. And then Richard came out of the home with this bag that he didn't bring in. It was a blue bag filled with a bunch of different items and things from the home. Now, to this day, it's still unknown exactly what was in that bag and why he had to get into the house that quickly to retrieve all of this. But it's pretty obvious that this guy was acting very suspicious. I mean, look at this. This looks like some sort of a disguise out of a movie. And to this day, it's unknown what he took out of the home. Being a guy that was so close to Jeffrey, that knew all of Jeffrey's secrets and helped Jeffrey run his businesses, I would assume that this guy knows a little more than he's ever let on to. And I really don't see people talk about this very much, but I'm just so curious as to what he removed from the house that day. Was it recordings of celebrities and politicians? Was it the lost Epstein tapes? Was it evidence that could incriminate his whole ring of co-conspirators? I guess that's just something we will never know.
The dude's gonna come out in 6 months, like that Prince Ebony dude trying to auction off those Drake and Kendrick items. 3 of you will get that, don't worry. Yeah, I'm sure it was nothing. I'm sure it was just some sweaters he left over there. Sure it wasn't hard drives. Sure it was just, probably left his favorite pair of shoes over there or something. Definitely wasn't footage or account passwords or crypto wallets. I'm sure it wasn't any of that. But there you have it, folks. That is another compilation of some of the wildest TikTok conspiracy theories I can find. We did it, we done it, we're doing it some more. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to drop a like for me. It really does help the video, and I really appreciate it. I like watching the number goes up. It makes me feel good. But it does, and I appreciate it, so thank you. If you're not subscribed already, go ahead and sub up. I appreciate that too. My posting schedule has changed, so be sure and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a video. But just a reminder, it's Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays for a live stream, so I hope to see you there, all at 4:15. Merch shop is live, we got stuff, you can go check it out. Let me know if you have any suggestions. Thank you for tuning in, I appreciate each and every one of you. I know everybody says it, but I actually do. I'm sure other people do too. Alright, I'm just blabbering at this point. So until next time, seek the truth.